Emperor Justinian's first campaign to restore the Roman Empire to its former borders was a resounding success. His general Belisarius quickly destroyed the Vandal kingdom in North Africa and brought it under imperial rule, but that was just the beginning. The emperor was eager to reclaim the ultimate prize, the symbol of the old empire, Rome. The province of Africa was now back under Roman control, and Belisarius returned to Constantinople, celebrating his victory. Meanwhile, his general Suleiman was fighting a rebellion sparked by local barbarian tribes in the early 530s. Suleiman won a victory at Monte Borgia, but the rebellions continued for 2 decades. The Ostrogothic kingdom, which controlled Italy, was in a state of civil war. The conflict between Justinian's ally, the Queen Regent Amalsansa, and her cousin Theodahad ended with the latter's victory. The assassination of Molosson at Fez in 535 gave the Romans a reason to declare war this time. Justinian sent 2 armies. Mundus intended to attack from the Balkans to encircle the Ostrogothic forces, while Belisarius advanced with his 7,000 troops from southern Italy. Belisarius captured Sicily by the end of 535. He intended to advance towards the Italian mainland, but a mutiny among soldiers in Africa over delayed pay forced him to return to Carthage. Belisarius had only about 2,000 troops against 8,000 rebels, but he quickly took the initiative and decisively defeated the rebels in the late spring of 536. The Romans finally crossed into Italy and captured Radium. Belisarius encountered no resistance until he reached Naples, where a large Gothic garrison was stationed. A siege was imposed, but a Roman soldier found a breach in the city's aqueducts, which were later widened, and 600 soldiers stormed the city, ending the siege after 20 days. Theodahades realized that the failure to relieve the siege of Naples had led to his assassination and replacement by the new Gothic king, Viticus, shortly after. Viticus began amassing a large force around his capital, Ravenna. Belisarius attacked Rome, and the Roman people appeared to support Belisarius. The Gothic garrison, numbering 4,000, left Rome through the Flaminian Gate just as Belisarius entered through the Scenario Gate on December 9th. Rome returned to the empire, where he had to fortify other cities. Belisarius had about 5,000 men, most of whom were members of his household guard. Preparations for a long siege began with the renovation of fortifications and the digging of a new ditch. A new ditch was dug and grain was confiscated on March 2nd, 537. The Gothic forces moved to the Silurian bridge from the north. A garrison of 150 men fled their positions. At that time, Belisarius was reconnoitering his positions with 1,000 nearby cavalry when they suddenly encountered the Gothic vanguard. Belisarius was in the thick of the battle but managed to retreat. The Silurian gatekeepers refused them entry, fearing they would endanger the city. Meanwhile, the Goths were closing in but lost their cohesion. During the pursuit, Belisarius regrouped and charged at the enemy, shattering their morale. The Goths, numbering between 20,000 and 25,000, set up 6 camps on the east bank of the Tiber and 1 on the west side to cover and secure the other side of the Milvian Bridge. On March 21st, Eutyches launched his first attack. Large siege towers equipped with battering rams were built and pulled forward by oxen, while other men tried to reach them quickly. The ditch was filled in to allow the Goths to reach the Aurelian walls surrounding the Silurian Gate. Belisarius ordered his men to kill the bulls, halting the attack. Roman catapults damaged the attackers, and the Goths were forced to retreat. He ordered an assault on Hadrian's tomb, approaching the Antinian Gate to attack a weaker part of the wall surrounding the garden. The artillery could not be directed low enough to hit the men carrying the ladders, and the Roman defenders had to smash statues to bring them down on the attackers. The Goths breached the outer wall, but the Romans ambushed them inside the enclosure, forcing them to retreat. Belisarius ordered an attack from the Antinian Gate to rout that part. The Romans burned all the siege engines they had supplied. The next day, Belisarius succeeded in evacuating the women and children from the city by boat or across the Appian Way. The remaining citizens were conscripted at low wages. This allowed Belisarius to command all four walls each night. On April 13th, Belisarius finally received reinforcements with the arrival of 1,600 cavalry in the city. Several hundred cavalry charged the hill and fired arrows at the Gothic camps, killing many and causing chaos. The Roman cavalry could use crossbows and bows from mounted positions, while the Goths could not, and this proved decisive in these clashes. Viticus deployed 500 cavalry equipped with pikes to capture the hill. The Romans, under Bessus, surrounded these 500 and killed them with 1,000 cavalry. Belisarius decided to attack the enemy head-on from all sides, preparing to engage the cavalry on the flanks and the infantry in the centre. The Romans deployed a small force to occupy the Visigothic camp. These units attacked and defeated the Goths, but instead of pursuing the enemy, they began looting the camp. Viticus defeated them despite their losses, but Belisarius was outnumbered. The centre of the Roman line held, allowing the flanks time to retreat. The Goths, unwilling to be exposed to the fire of the archers and artillery on the walls, did not continue their attack. This lax siege allowed a steady flow of hundreds, then thousands of Roman reinforcements, soldiers' pay, and food to reach the city. The siege lasted another 10 months, with 67 skirmishes recorded. Viticus was forced to sue for peace. Belisarius offered a 3-month truce, claiming he had no authority to accept any peace agreements. The Romans reinforced the supply ships carrying grain across the Tiber to Rome. Belisarius even managed to deploy his cavalry commander John with 2,000 men to raid and capture cities on the Flaminian Way. The Goths tried to use Rome's aqueducts to take the city, but Belisarius filled them with rubble. The Gothic position was now untenable, and they were forced to end the siege. Belisarius waited for half the Goths to cross the Milvian Bridge, then attacked and destroyed their rear. The date was March 12th, 538 AD. The first siege of Rome lasted a year and 9 days. In the end, Rome was returned unharmed to the Roman Empire. But at what cost and for how long?